Any fisherman will tell you the ocean has a memory. It remembers every mistake, every storm, every piece of gear ever lost beneath its surface. And it never gives anything back easily. One day, the water can feel calm and forgiving, stretching out like glass beneath the sun. The next, it can turn violent, unpredictable, as if it's reminding you who's really in control. That's why most crews feel an almost physical sense of relief when land finally appears on the horizon. It means the gamble is nearly over. It means you survived. Or at least, that's what you think. Because sometimes, just when you believe the sea has finished testing you, it has one final moment prepared. One moment that changes everything. The crew of the Golden Delight had already pushed far beyond what they were comfortable with. Nearly 2 weeks at sea. That wasn't part of the plan. The first days had been painfully slow. Nets came up light, sometimes nearly empty. Each haul felt heavier on morale than on the winch. Back home, bills didn't care about bad luck or shifting waters. Fuel cost money, food cost money, and fishing only paid when the hold was full. Turning back early would have meant returning with excuses instead of income. For these men, that wasn't an option. Fishing had changed over the years. Places that once guaranteed a good haul now felt barren. Overfishing had pushed everyone farther out, forcing crews to choose between safety and survival. Every season, the risks crept higher. Longer trips, rougher waters, smaller margins for error. So when the captain suggested pushing farther than usual, no one argued. They all understood what was at stake. Days later, they reached a stretch of open sea, so empty it felt almost unsettling. No other boats, no distant engines, just endless water and sky blending together. It was the kind of place that made you feel small. When they dropped the nets, there was no celebration, no excitement, just quiet routine. But when they began pulling them back up, something felt wrong in the best possible way. The winch strained, the cables groaned. The weight was unlike anything they'd felt in months, maybe longer. When the net finally broke the surface, everything changed. Fish poured onto the deck in a living wave, flopping and sliding over one another faster than the crew could react. Shouts filled the air. Laughter. Disbelief. They scrambled to contain the chaos, slipping on scales, hands moving on instinct. It wasn't just a good catch. It was unreal, and it didn't stop. Load after load came up just as heavy. Within 2 days, the storage hold was completely packed. Every corner filled, no room left for even a single crate. The Golden Delight had never seen a trip like this. Every pull felt like winning again. The exhaustion faded under adrenaline. Even the ocean seemed to reward them. Whales surfaced beside the boat, massive and calm, gliding through the water like silent shadows. Moments like that don't feel random. They feel earned. But the ship full, the captain finally gave the order. It was time to head home. Staying longer risked spoilage, and no catch, no matter how big, was worth losing to time. Spirits were high as the boat turned toward shore. The hardest part was behind them, or so they believed. The weather shifted faster than anyone expected. Waves grew taller. Winds picked up. The boat slammed hard enough to rattle bones. Pushing straight through would have been reckless, maybe fatal. The captain didn't hesitate. He altered course, choosing a long detour to skirt the storm instead of fighting it head. It wasn't perfect. It would cost them days, but it kept them alive. When the storm finally passed, the damage wasn't visible on the ship. It was on the crew. Everyone was drained. Food supplies were thin. Fresh water dangerously low. Sleep came in broken stretches. Tempers flared easily. The smell of fish clung to everything. To their clothes, their skin, even their thoughts. Time blurred into waves and sky. To distract themselves, they played cards, rolled dice, stared out at nothing. Occasionally, something broke the monotony. A fin, a shadow beneath the surface. But mostly, it was just waiting. According to the captain, they were close. Maybe a day from shore. No land yet, but close enough to feel it. Earlier, they'd spotted distant boats. For a brief moment, the idea of asking for water crossed their minds, but stopping would slow them down. And there was no guarantee those crews could help, so they stayed the course, focused on one thing: home. Then, at last, it appeared. A thin line on the horizon. Clear, unmistakable. Land. The deck erupted. Cheers echoed across the water. Men laughed, shouted, slapped each other on the back. After everything they'd endured, it felt unreal, like the sea had finally decided to let them go. But while the celebration rolled on, one man stood apart, silent, his eyes fixed ahead, almost home. That's when he noticed movement. A ripple beside the boat, a flash of gray. A dolphin surfaced, swimming close. At first, it seemed ordinary. Dolphins were common in those waters. Graceful, curious. But something felt off. Its movements were uneven, awkward. It didn't dive. It struggled to stay straight. As the boat drifted closer, the truth became impossible to ignore. Its tail was trapped. A thick, heavy fishing net wrapped tightly around it, dragging behind like a curse. Old, abandoned, lost to the sea by some other vessel, maybe years ago. The dolphin was exhausted, breathing hard, alone. No pod, no help, just fighting to stay afloat. The crewmen shouted. Celebration vanished instantly. Every head turned. The dolphin was already slipping past them, moving in the opposite direction. This was it. Their one chance. If they kept going, they'd reach shore soon. If they turned back, they'd lose more time, more fuel, more energy. No one said it out loud, but everyone felt the weight of that choice. It lasted less than a second. They were going after it. The captain swung the wheel without hesitation. From a distance, they watched the dolphin attempt to dive again and again, failing each time. When the boat caught up, it tried to escape, changing directions in short, panicked bursts. Then it stopped. Whether it was too tired or somehow understood help had arrived, no one knew. They had no rescue equipment, no plan, so they used what they had. Their net. Carefully, they guided the dolphin in. Against all odds, it worked. They lifted it onto the deck. It barely resisted, just lay there, chest rising fast, eyes alert but tired. They freed it from their own net first, then focused on the tangled mess around its tail. 2 men held it steady. Another worked slowly with his knife, cutting strand by strand. One wrong move could have ended everything. Then the net fell away. They checked the dolphin carefully. No serious injuries, just exhaustion. Slowly, it began to move more freely. With careful hands, they slid it back into the water. The moment it touched the sea, it vanished beneath the surface. The deck fell silent. No cheering, no words, just quiet pride. The captain turned the boat back toward land. Hours later, as the coastline drew closer, something leapt beside them. A dolphin eye, clean, powerful. The crew watched in disbelief. They were certain it was the same one. And knowing how intelligent dolphins are, it didn't feel impossible. It felt intentional. When they finally reached shore, they were exhausted beyond words. But they hadn't just returned with the biggest haul of their lives. They came back with something far rarer. A moment that reminded them why they respected the ocean, why they never took it lightly. A story they'd carry with them forever, and none of them would ever forget it.